Everyone said she'd never be loved because of her body. But when a lone Apache touched her skin with tenderness, he awakened in her the strength to bring forth life. And she gave the world not one, but 3 hearts that beat in unison with her own. Subscribe and listen to this beautiful story. The sun scorched the earth like a branding iron. Eloa walked slowly along the loose stone path, feeling sweat trickle down her back. Her patched brown dress, mended in 3 places, clung to her body like a second skin. She knew she was going too far. She knew she should turn back, but she couldn't. Useless fatty. Aunt Carol's words still echoed in her ears. You eat our food and can't even find a husband. Eloa clenched her fists. 28 years of life, 28 years of being told she was too much. Too much fat, too much height, too many mouths to feed since her father died crossing the desert. Her family tolerated her because she sewed well and worked for free. Nothing more. The settlement of San Miguel faded behind her. The adobe houses vanished among the rocks. All that remained was the heat, the hot wind, and the sound of her own footsteps in the sand. Eloa had no plan. She just wanted to be far away. Far from disgusted glances, far from the snickers when she walked down the street, far from the pain. That hurt so much crying didn't even help anymore. Thirst hit her like a dagger to the throat. She stopped, looked around. Brown mountains stretched as far as the eye could see. Giant cacti raised their arms to the sky as if begging for help. And there, about 100 yards ahead, was shade, small trees around something that looked like water. Eloa ran. The little breath she had quickly vanished, but she kept going. Her swollen feet ached inside her worn-out boots. Her heart pounded so hard it felt like it would explode. But there it was, a small well surrounded by dark stones with clear water. Reflecting the sky, she knelt at the edge, cupped her hands and drank. The water was cool, delicious. For the first time that day, Eloa smiled. A small smile just for herself. That's when she heard a sound, footsteps, soft but firm, coming from the trees. Eloa turned slowly, still kneeling. Her heart raced, but not from exhaustion, from fear. A man emerged from the shadows. Tall, sun-bronzed skin, long black hair tied in 2 braids that fell over his shoulders, brown leather pants, bare chest with small scars on his arms, and a necklace of blue beads and feathers that swayed as he walked. Apache. Eloa knew the stories. Everyone did. Dangerous savages. They killed for pleasure, stole women, ate raw meat. At least, that's what they said in the village. But the man didn't look savage. He looked tired. He stopped about 5 yards from her. His dark eyes studied her from head to toe. Not with disgust, not with desire, with curiosity, like someone who finds something unexpected and isn't sure what to do. Water belongs to all, he said in broken Spanish, his voice low and raspy. I will not hurt. Eloa couldn't speak. Her throat was closed. He took another step. You are far from home, he continued. Dangerous place for woman alone. She swallowed hard, found her voice deep in her chest. I have no home, she whispered. The words came out before she could think. Raw, painful truth. The man frowned. Everyone has home, not me. They looked at each other in silence. The wind ruffled the feathers of his necklace. Eloa felt something strange in her chest. It wasn't fear, it was recognition, as if she looked in a mirror and saw her own pain reflected. The man knelt on the opposite side of the well, cupped water in his hands, washed his face, his neck. A deep scar cut the left side of his chest from collarbone to mid-ribs, old, but still red. What is your name? Eloa asked, surprised by her own courage. He raised his eyes. Takoda. What does it mean? Friend to all. He gave a bitter smile. Lying name. Eloa felt her heart clench. She knew well the feeling of carrying a name that didn't match her life. "My name is Eloa," she said. "Eloa," he repeated, testing the sound. "Beautiful name." No one had ever called her name beautiful. Eloa lowered her eyes, feeling her face. "You flush. Why you have no home?" Takoda asked. The question hurt, but for the first time in her life, Eloa wanted to answer with the truth. "Because I'm too fat to marry, too ugly to want, too useless to love." Takoda stopped drinking water. He looked at her intently, with an expression she couldn't decipher. "Who said that?" "Everyone. Everyone is wrong." The words fell like rain on dry earth. Eloa felt her eyes sting. She wouldn't cry, not in front of a stranger, not in front of an Apache who could kill her at any moment. "What about you?" she asked, trying to change the subject. "Why do you have no home?" Takoda's face closed off. For a moment he thought he wouldn't answer. "Because home is family. And family—" He touched the scar on his chest. "Family is lost." Silence returned, but it was a different silence now, not of fear or distrust, of understanding, of two wounded people recognizing each other's pain. The sun began to set. The sky turned orange, then red. Takoda stood up. "It will be dark soon," he said. "Not safe to go back alone." "I'm not going back," Eloa replied. "I have nowhere to go. Village must have place for you, not in my village." Takoda studied her again. Then he nodded, as if he understood perfectly. "You want me to take you to Main Road," he offered. "Why?" Eloa couldn't hide the suspicion in her voice. "Why would you help me?" "Because you did. Not run when you saw me." "Should I have run? Everyone runs." They looked at each other once more. Something was growing between them, something small but strong, like a plant sprout among the stones. "I don't need help," Eloa said, but her voice was less firm than she wanted. "Everyone needs help," Takoda replied. He extended his hand, large, calloused, with small scars on his knuckles. Eloa hesitated. No one had offered her a hand since she was a child. She took it. His skin was warm, rough, strong, safe. Takoda helped her up carefully, as if she were made of something precious that could break. "Thank you," she murmured. "You are welcome." Eloa, her name in his mouth sounded different, not like a burden or shame, like low music. They walked side by side along the trail. Takoda knew the way, even as darkness fell. He stepped lightly, stopped when she needed to rest, offered water from a leather canteen when thirst became too much. "Do you have family nearby?" Eloa asked. "Not anymore." "What happened?" Takoda took a long time to answer. When he spoke, his voice was low, controlled. "Soldiers, 3 moons ago, killed everyone. Father, mother, 2 small brothers. Burned the lodges, took the horses." Eloa's heart ached. "I'm sorry." "Why?" "You did nothing." "Because it hurts when we lose those we love." Takoda stopped walking. He looked at her with an expression she had never seen on anyone's face. Surprise, respect, something that seemed almost tenderness. "How do you know?" "Because I lost my father, and my mother died when I was born. I know what it's like to be alone in the world." They started walking again, this time slower. "I did not know white women knew about pain," Takoda said. "Some do," Eloa replied. "The ones no one wants." "I want." The words came out simple, direct, without pretense. Eloa stopped walking, her heart pounding. "What?" "I want you near," Takoda repeated, turning to face her. "I do not know why, but I want." Eloa felt the world spin. No one had ever said they wanted her. Never. Not family, not friends, not strangers, and there was an Apache, a warrior who could have any woman he chose, saying he wanted her near. I don't understand, she whispered. Neither do I, Takoda admitted, but when you did not run, when you shared water with me, when you asked my name, he touched his chest over his heart. Something here woke up, something that was dead since the night I lost my family. Tears came unbidden. Iloa tried to hide them but couldn't. Takoda took a step forward. Why do you cry? Because no one ever... Her voice broke. No one ever said they wanted me near. Takoda slowly raised his hand, as if asking permission. When she didn't recoil, he touched her face, wiping a tear with his thumb. Then, people in your village are blind, he said, because you have eyes that speak, heart that feels, courage few have. Courage? You came here alone, spoke to me without fear, did not lie about your pain. Takoda smiled, and the smile transformed his entire face. That is courage. Eloa didn't know what to say. No one had ever called her courageous. No one had ever wiped her tears. No one had ever touched her face as if she was something valuable. Come back tomorrow, Takoda said, to the well, if you wish. Why? Because I want to see you again. I want to know more about you. I want... He hesitated, as if the words were difficult. I want to try not to be alone. Eloa's heart beat so hard she was sure he could hear it. What if someone sees me? No one will. It is hidden place. Only I know. What if you change your mind? I will not change. The certainty in his voice convinced her, or perhaps it was the desperate hope that someone, for the first time in her life, truly wanted her company. All right, she whispered. I'll come back. Takoda smiled again. This time she smiled too. They reached the main road when the moon was already high. Takoda pointed the direction of the village, made sure she knew her way back. Before they parted, he took a small feather from his necklace and offered it to her. For you to remember, you are not alone, he said. Iloa held the feather as if it were a treasure. It was soft, dark blue with white tips, beautiful. Thank you, she murmured. Until tomorrow, Iloa. Until tomorrow, Takoda. She watched him disappear among the rocks, like a shadow. Then she walked back to the village, holding the feather against her chest. For the first time in 28 years, she had something to look forward to the next day. Someone who wanted to see her again. Someone who thought she had courage. Someone who wiped her tears and said her name as if it were music. Iloa's heart was waking up, and it hurt. But it was a good kind of pain. A pain that spoke of hope. The following days passed like a dream. Iloa woke before sunrise. Did her chores silently at Aunt Carol's house, and when the mid-afternoon heat became intense, she made up some excuse and left. I'm going to get herbs for tea, she'd lie. I'm going to wash clothes at the creek, she'd invent. I'm going to the market, she'd say, knowing no one truly cared, and she'd walk to the well. Takoda was always there, waiting, sometimes sitting on the large rock, sometimes kneeling at the water's edge, sometimes just leaning against a tree, looking at the horizon, but always there. On the second day, he brought pieces of dried meat, seasoned with herbs she had never tasted, delicious, different. She offered him bread she had baked at dawn, still warm. They ate in silence, sharing food as if it were the most natural thing in the world. On the third day, he taught her the names of some plants. He showed her which ones healed wounds, which relieved headaches, which scared away snakes. She spoke of the stitches she knew how to make, showed him how to mend a tear without leaving a mark. He was impressed by the delicacy of her fingers, the precision of her movements. You have hands of a healer, he said. I just know how to sew. Healing and sewing are the same, putting together what is broken. The phrase stayed in her head the rest of the day. On the fourth day, it rained. Eloah arrived at the well soaked, trembling from cold. Dakota noticed immediately. What happened? My aunt, she said, sitting heavily on the stone. She found out I leave every day. How? The neighbor saw me on the road, told her. Now she wants to know where I go, who I'm with, what I do. Dakota tensed. What did you say? That it was none of her business. Eloah gave a bitter smile. Then she said, as long as I live in her house, everything I do is her business, and if I don't tell the truth, she'll kick me out. And you will tell? Never. The word came out firm, resolute. Dakota felt something stir in his chest. Pride, admiration, and something more that he didn't want to name yet. Then you will have to leave there. I know. Where will you go? I don't know. Eloah shrugged. Maybe to the other side of the mountain. They say there's a bigger town there. I can try to sew for a living. Alone? Alone. Dakota was silent for a while. Then he stood up, walked to the edge of the well, and looked at the water. There is another way, he said, without turning around. What? You can come with me. The words fell like a stone into still water. Eloah felt her heart race. What do you mean? I live in old cabin in hills. No one goes there, room for two. Water near, good land to plant. He turned to her. If you wish. Why would you do that? Because... Dakota hesitated, as if the words were hard to find. Because for last 6 days, you are first thing I think of when I wake, and last, when I sleep. Because when I am not here with you, I feel like part of me is missing. Because what? Because I think I am falling in love with you. The world stopped. Eloah forgot how to breathe. The words echoed in her head like a ringing bell. Falling in love with you. That's impossible, she whispered. Why? Because I'm... What? Dakota took a step toward her. Strong? Redeemed, kind, beautiful. I'm not beautiful. To me, you are. I'm fat. To me, you are perfect. I'm white. You're Apache. We can't. Who says we cannot? Eloah didn't know how to answer. Her whole life, she'd heard that women like her didn't deserve love, that Apache were enemies, that different worlds didn't mix. But there was Dakota, looking at her as if she were a treasure, saying he had fallen in love. I'm afraid, she admitted, of me, of believing, of dreaming, of being disappointed again. Dakota approached slowly, as if she were a frightened animal that might run. He stopped in front of her, held out his hands. Eloah hesitated, then took them. I will not disappoint. You? He said. I promise. How can you be sure? Because you made me remember what it is like to be alive. Because when I look at you, I see future. Because... He took a deep breath. Because I love you. The tears came all at once. Eloah collapsed into his chest, sobbing like a child. Dakota hugged her, held her close, whispered words in Apache that she didn't understand, but felt in her heart. I love you too, she murmured against his chest. I didn't want to, but I do. Why did you not want to? Because love hurts, because people leave, because I always lose everything good in my life. You will not lose me, Dakota promised, not while I have life. They remained embraced until the sun began to set. When they separated, Eloah's eyes were different, brighter, more alive, as if a light had been kindled within her. I'm going to talk to my aunt today, she said. I'm going to tell her I'm leaving for good. Are you sure? I am. She smiled, and the smile was new, courageous. For the first time in my life, I'm sure of something. Dakota smiled too. Then he kissed her forehead, slowly, tenderly. "We'll wait for you here tomorrow morning early," he said. "We go to cabin together." "Together," she repeated, liking the sound of the word. "Together." Eloah returned to the village changed. She walked taller, her head held high. Dakota's feather was tucked into her hair, small but visible. Some people looked at her strangely, but she didn't care. For the first time, she didn't care. Aunt Carol was waiting at the door, arms crossed. "Well?" she asked. "Are you going to tell me where you've been every day?" "I am," Eloah said, stopping in front of her. "I've been getting to know someone who truly loves me, and I'm leaving with him tomorrow." "What do you mean, leaving?" "I'm leaving San Miguel. For good." Her aunt's eyes widened. "Don't be crazy, Eloah. What man would want you? He must be some opportunist, He's a man of honor," Eloah cut in. "Who treats me with respect? Who makes me happy?" "Man of honor?" Her aunt gave a dry laugh. "Look at you, fat, ugly, no dowry. What man of honor would—" "One who sees the heart, not just the body," Eloah said, her voice firm. "One who sees me as a woman, not a burden." "Nonsense, you're daydreaming. In a week he'll disappear and you'll come crawling back here." "I won't." "Yes, you will, because you have nowhere to go." "I do." Eloah smiled. "I have a home now, with someone who wants me." Her aunt was speechless. She had never seen Eloah like this. Decisive, confident, with a sparkle in her eyes. "If you leave here, don't come back," she threatened. "I don't intend to. You'll regret it." "I've never regretted anything as much as I regret staying here for so long." Eloah went into the house, gathered her few belongings. 2 changes of clothes, her sewing box, her mother's rosary, a faded photo of her father. Everything fit into a small bundle. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat by the window, looking at the stars, thinking about what she was about to do. She was going to abandon everything she knew. She was going to live with an Apache in a remote cabin in the wilderness. She was going to defy all rules, all prejudices, all expectations. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. She was hopeful. Her heart pounded in her chest, not with anxiety, but with anticipation. Tomorrow, a new life would begin, a life where she would be loved, where she would be wanted, where she would be happy. When the sun rose, Eloah was already on the road, walking toward the well with her small bundle on her back and her heart full of future. Dakota was waiting for her, mounted on a bay horse, holding the reins of a gentle mare. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready," she replied. He helped her mount, adjusted her bundle, and got on his own horse. Side by side, they rode uphill, leaving San Miguel behind forever. Eloah didn't look back once. The future was ahead, and the future had a name: love. The cabin was in a hidden clearing among tall rocks, far from any known trail. Small, made of wood and mud, with a thatched roof and 2 windows facing east. Simple but clean, and for the first time in her life, Eloah had a real home. The first few months were a time of discovery. Dakota taught, she learned, how to make fire without matches, how to read the signs of the weather, how to prepare medicinal herbs, how to hunt small rabbits with a snare. Eloah taught, too, how to sew leather with a bone needle, how to make cornbread, how to preserve meat with salt, how to sing to ward off loneliness. He would go hunting, she would tend to the small garden they had planted together. Tomatoes, corn, beans, squash. The land was good, the water nearby. At night, they would sit outside, looking at the stars, sharing stories from when they were children. "My mother used to say that every star is an ancestor watching over us," Dakota would say. "My father used to say that the stars are God's tears of joy," Eloah would reply. Different, but alike, like the 2 of them. It was in the 4th month that she noticed her swollen belly, The morning sickness, the missed moon cycle. At first, she thought it was just anxiety, nerves from the new life. But when the tiny movement started inside, she knew the truth. She was pregnant. Eloa stood in the middle of the garden, hands on her belly, crying, crying with joy, crying with fear, crying in disbelief that it was possible. "What's wrong?" Takoda appeared, running, thinking she was in pain. Her voice wouldn't come out. "Takoda, You're what?" "Pregnant." He stopped, looked at her, then at her belly, then at her again. His face went through many expressions: surprise, fear, joy, pride. "Are you sure?" "I am. But you said you couldn't, that I could never have children." "That's what everyone said. The doctors in San Miguel said my body wasn't made for it." Takoda approached slowly. He placed his large hands on her belly, as if touching something sacred. "My body is making a miracle," Eloa whispered. "It's not a miracle," he said, his voice emotional. "It's love. Love makes anything possible." They hugged right there in the middle of the garden, crying with happiness. Their first child, the beginning of a new family. The following months were the happiest of Eloa's life. Her belly grew. Takoda became a protective husband. He wouldn't let her carry heavy things, wouldn't let her go far alone, brought her wildflowers just to see her smile. At night, he would talk to her belly, telling Apache stories to the baby. "What will we name it?" he would ask. "If it's a boy, Thomas, it was my father's name. And if it's a girl, Ayana, eternal flower. You taught me that word." It was in the 7th month that everything changed. Eloa was washing clothes at the creek when she heard the sound of hooves. Many hooves, loud voices, shouting. She hid behind the rocks, her heart pounding. Federal soldiers, about 15 men, armed, dirty from travel. The captain was a tall, thin man with a grizzled mustache and eyes as cold as ice. She heard him shout orders. "Spread out! Search everywhere! I know there are Apache hiding around here!" Eloa ran back to the cabin. Takoda was sharpening a knife, concentrating. "Soldiers," she gasped. "Many. Looking for Apache." His face turned to stone. He grabbed his bow, his quiver of arrows, the large knife. "Stay here," he ordered. "If I don't come back in an hour, flee south. There's a trail behind the cabin. Follow it until—" "I won't run without you." "Yes, you will, because of the baby." "Takoda, promise me." His voice was hard, a warrior's voice. Eloa knew it was useless to argue. "I promise." He kissed her quickly, touched her belly once, and left. Eloa was left alone, praying. An hour later, she heard gunshots, screams, the sounds of a struggle, then silence. Silence that lasted an eternity. When the soldiers appeared at the cabin door, she knew something had happened to Takoda. The captain entered without asking, looking at everything with disgust. "So it's true," he said. "White woman living with a savage." "Get out of my house," Eloa said, trying to sound brave. "Your house," he laughed. "This land belongs to the United States, and you are committing treason, living with an enemy of the nation." "Takoda is no one's enemy." "Takoda." The captain frowned. "Is that the Apache's name?" "Yes." "Interesting." He approached her. "Do you know there's a bounty on this man? $1,000, dead or alive." Eloa's heart turned to ice. "Bounty? Why?" "Because he killed 12 soldiers in an ambush 3 months ago. Because he burned an entire fort. Because he's one of the most wanted Apache resistance leaders in the territory." "That's a lie," Eloa murmured. "It's true, your dear husband is a wanted murderer. And you," he smiled cruelly, "you're an accomplice." Eloa felt the world collapse. Takoda had never spoken of ambushes, of deaths, of resistance. He said he lived in peace, that he only hunted what was necessary. I don't believe it, she whispered. No? Then ask him. Oh, wait, the captain laughed. You can't, because he's dead. What? My men finished him. He tried to run like a coward, but took 3 bullets in the back. The scream that tore from Eloa's throat didn't sound human. Pure pain, absolute despair. She collapsed to the ground, hugging her belly, sobbing. No, no. It can't be. It can. And now you're coming with us. You'll answer for treason. I'm pregnant, she cried. Pregnant with a savage, even worse. 2 soldiers grabbed her arms, forcing her up. Eloa couldn't stop crying. Takoda was dead. The man who loved her, who protected her, who made her feel alive, was dead. Wait. The voice came from the doorway, deep, familiar. Eloa looked up, disbelieving. Takoda was there, alive, blood streaming from his arm, a broken arrow in his shoulder, but alive, and aiming a drawn bow at the captain. Let her go, he said. Impossible, the captain murmured. You took 3 shots. Missed the mark. Takoda took a step inside. Let my wife go, now. Your men are dead, savage. You are alone. I do not need anyone to kill you. The arrow was pointed directly at the captain's heart. Takoda's hand didn't tremble at all. The soldiers released Eloa, pulled their weapons, but Takoda was faster. The first arrow hit the captain, in the chest. The second, a soldier trying to shoot. In seconds, he had pulled his knife and charged the others. Run, Eloa, he yelled. Run! But she didn't run, she couldn't. The pain in her belly had started, sharp, cutting, as if someone had plunged a knife inside. Takoda, she moaned. The baby. He looked at her in the middle of the fight, saw the despair on her face, the blood on her legs. The baby was coming, and it wasn't just one. Takoda quickly finished off the soldiers. Then he ran to her, picked her up, carried her to the bed. Breathe deep, he said. Everything will be all right. It hurts so much. I know, but you are strong. The strongest woman I know. The next few hours were a struggle. Eloa screamed, pushed, cried. Takoda held her hand, wiped her sweat, spoke words of encouragement. And when the first baby was born, small but crying loudly, they cried together. A boy, Takoda said, wrapping the baby in a blanket. Thomas, Eloa whispered. But the pain didn't stop. There was more. The second baby came 20 minutes later, another boy, even smaller, but just as strong. 2, Takoda murmured, amazed. What will we call him? Nalnish, worker. And when they thought it was over, the pain returned. The third baby, a girl, the smallest of them all, but with the loudest cry. Ayana, Eloa said, kissing her daughter's forehead. Our eternal flower. Triplets, 3 perfect, healthy, beautiful children. Impossible, Takoda murmured. The doctors said you would never. They lied, Eloa smiled, exhausted but happy. My body is a temple, and a temple is a place of miracles. In the following days they knew more soldiers would come. The death of the captain and his men would not go unpunished. They had to leave there. That's when the Apache arrived. 12 warriors led by an old man with white hair and wise eyes, Chief Cochise. Takoda knelt before him. My father, he said in Apache. My son, the old man replied. I heard about the babies. I came to meet them. Cochise approached the bed where Eloa rested with the 3 children on her chest. He looked at them for a long time. Then he touched each one's forehead, murmuring ancient words. They are children of the earth, he said in broken English, so Eloa could understand. Apache blood, heart of 2 tribes, they will be bridges between worlds. Are they welcome? Eloa asked. They are welcome, and you too. The old man smiled. Any woman who can give 3 strong children to the people is a mother of honor. Cochise turned to Takoda. Return to the tribe, my son. Bring your family. Your place is with us, and the soldiers? Soldiers are our problem. You have cared well for the children of your land. Now it is time to care for the children of your blood. A week later, Eloa was mounted on a travois pulled by a horse, with the triplets nestled against her chest, following the Apache caravan through the mountains. Takoda rode beside her, protecting them. Cochise led the way home. "Are you afraid?" Takoda asked. "No," Eloa replied. "For the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of anything." She looked at her children. Thomas had his father's dark eyes. Nael-Nish had her nose. Ayana had both their mouths. 3 small miracles that prove true love knows no barriers. "They will grow up knowing they are loved," she said. "They will," Takoda promised, "and they will know that their mother and father's love was so strong it conquered the whole world." The Apache camp appeared in the late afternoon. Lodges in a circle, campfires burning, children running, women working, men returning from the hunt. A people, a family. Eloa was received with curiosity but without hostility. The women helped her down from the travois, admired the babies, offered food and water. An old medicine woman examined the triplets, declared them healthy and blessed. "They are strong," she said. "They will be great warriors, and the girl will be wise like an eagle." That night, there was a celebration. Music, dancing, shared food. Eloa sat next to Takoda, with their children sleeping in a cradle made especially for them, and for the first time she felt part of something larger. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For showing me that I could be loved, that I could be a mother, that I could be happy." "Thank you," Takoda replied, "for showing me that I could love again, that I could have family again, that I could have a future." They kissed slowly, tenderly. Around them, the Apache people sang ancient songs, celebrating the arrival of the new members of the tribe. 2 years later, when the triplets took their first steps, Cochise organized the wedding ceremony. According to Apache traditions, Eloa wore a buckskin dress decorated with colorful beads made by the women of the tribe. Takoda wore his warrior attire with the eagle feather war bonnet that had belonged to his father. They made their vows before the sacred fire under the stars, with the entire people as witnesses. "I promise to protect you with my life," Takoda said. "I promise to love you forever," Eloa said. "I promise to be a father to your children," he said. "I promise to be the strength of your home," she said. Cochise tied their hands with a braided cord, a symbol of the union that nothing could break. "Now you are one," he declared. "One heart, one soul, one life." The celebration lasted 3 days. In the end, Eloa and Takoda retired to the new lodge they had built together. Large, comfortable, decorated with symbols of protection and prosperity. "Happy?" Takoda asked. "More than happy," Eloa replied. "Complete." She looked through the opening of the lodge. Their children slept in a smaller lodge next door, cared for by a young woman from the tribe who adored them. Thomas snored softly. Nalnish sucked his thumb. Ayana smiled in her sleep as if dreaming of good things. "They will never know what it's like not to be loved," Eloa said. "Never," Takoda promised. "And when they grow up, they will tell their children the story of how their mother and father's love conquered everything." What story? The story of the courageous woman no one wanted, but who had the most beautiful heart in the world. And of the lone warrior who lost everything, but found everything again in her eyes. Eloa smiled. It had been a long time since she remembered the sad, rejected woman she used to be. That woman had died in the desert. In her place, a new one was born, mother, wife, part of a family, part of a people. "I love you," she said. "I love you more," Takoda replied. Outside, the wind sang in the mountains. The stars shone like promises in the dark sky, and in an Apache lodge in the heart of the desert, a family slept in peace. 3 children who were proof that miracles exist. 2 hearts that discovered true love knows no boundaries. A story that proved that sometimes what seems like an end is just the beginning of something much better. In the desert, where before there was only loneliness, hope was born. In the heart that before only knew pain, joy was born. In the life that before seemed meaningless, purpose was born. And when the people of the village asked what had happened to Eloa, the fat woman no one wanted, the few who knew would answer. She found someone who deserved her, and they lived happily ever after. Because some stories, the most beautiful ones, truly end like that.